Too Shy, Kajagoogoo from 1983. With me is the man who sang and co-wrote the band's big track, Limahl. A lot's happening with Limahl now, so let's talk about it. Thanks for coming on Revenge of the 80s Radio with me, Limahl.
Hi, Chris. It's a pleasure.
Very nice to have you here. Let's look back, Limahl. Before you were a professional singer, you were an actor. That's like the opposite of Ricky Gervais, who was a singer before he was a comedy actor and writer.
I didn't do that much acting, actually. I always had my heart set on music. You know, I was the guy at the back of the school classroom when I should have been studying. I was listening to the radio. Very naughty. I don't recommend it. But it worked for me. And then at the youth club that I used to go to, I sort of commandeered the record player. And then I was like the self-appointed DJ. But to be honest, I was the only guy who bought all the records. So everyone said, yeah, well, he's bought the music and he can play it. And so I was obsessed with music. And I did briefly do some acting simply because I was with an agent, a sort of theatrical agent, who said, you know, do you want to go up for this acting job? I didn't really train to act. And then after a few theatre shows, Joseph and the Amazing Dreamcoat and Godspell, I called my agent and said, I'm joining a band, so don't call me with any more jobs. I'm leaving London. And that's when I met a band called Art Nouveau that later became Kajagoogoo. But I always imagined the agent's face when I phoned him and said, don't call me with any more work because I'm joining a pop band. He probably thought, I'll never hear from that guy again.
I would have thought this. You know, that Technicolor Dreamcoat would look very good on stage while you're singing.
Well, it is a statement, isn't it? Just so, and it's great music. I mean, you know, it is a, you know, you can see why it did well. The songs are great. I mean, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice, their career speaks for itself, really, doesn't it?
Yes, those songs are timeless. The play's timeless. You'll still see that every once in a while around here.
Oh, yeah. I believe there is always a production on somewhere in the world at some point, probably more than one. That's the one that really got things going for them. It was just going to be performed in a school. It was great for me because I did a tour with it, and then I did a production in the south of the UK. And it requires a lot of discipline as a singer, because when you're singing 8 shows a week, and there's a lot of singing, even if you're just in the chorus, you know, there's a lot of ensemble stuff, and you really discover what's happening in your throat. It becomes incredibly familiar territory, and I think that was a really good apprenticeship for me for when I did join the music business, you know.
Right, and you got into Kajagoogoo through an audition. Art Nouveau put an ad out. How did you wow him at the audition?
That's a good question. I was really into the whole kind of new wave, new romantic. You know, we had Visage, you know, with Fade to Grey with the sort of face makeup, and then you had Adam and the Ants with the face makeup, and I think Bowie was doing it a little bit. So in the middle of the day, I got a train. It was like 2 in the afternoon. I got on this train from London to the town they lived in, which was an hour north of London, Leighton Buzzard, sort of leafy suburb of Bedfordshire. And I probably shocked a few old ladies on the train, because I had this kind of wacky theatrical outfit on that you really only wear on stage or something, and this makeup on my face, and I loved it. If people pointed, if people thought it was shocking, I just thought that was great. And of course, I had the wild hair, so I think when I walked in, you know, it did wow them, and then the bonus was that I could sing.
That usually helps.
Although today with technology, you know, they can get away with murder. But yeah, in those days, you had to sing. You couldn't fake it.
Right, we didn't have auto-tune in those days.
Absolutely.
Limahl is with me on Revenge of the 80s Radio. Limahl, going from Art Nouveau to Kajagoogoo as a band name is quite a swing. Why the switch?
Another good question, Chris. There was a successful band in the pop charts in the UK at the time called Classics Nouveau. I think their big hit was called "Is It a Dream," and it was a good song. You know, they were an interesting band. But yeah, I think we all felt that the nouveau word had already been taken by somebody else. But I do agree with you. You know, it was everybody. I mean, if you I think as English speakers, we love crazy words. I mean, look at the success of the search engine Google. You know, it's a kind of silly word, really, isn't it?
A bit. It's been used before. But I suppose what you're really saying is nouveau was old veau by the time you wanted to get out there and make some hits.
In a way, yeah. We were kind of beaten to the post with it. I think Art Nouveau would have served us very well. But I know what the bass player thought of the word, because it's not really something you take out of a book. He just invented it, you know. And the minute he said it, I just thought, wow, you know, I loved it. There were lots of kind of crazy names around at that point. I mean, another band with a sort of crazy, with a made-up word was Yazoo, you know. I'm not quite sure what that means. And playing on words, you know, it seemed trendy at the time, so I think we were being influenced somewhat by, you know, our contemporaries.
Now, in my other life, I produce a business radio show. A principle of business is that you keep a good unit together and don't fire someone who's essential to your success. You guys had a winning combination together, and it's fair to speculate that more hits could have come from Kajagoogoo had they not fired you. What happened there?
Yes. I mean, I always, you know, it's still very poignant to me when I hear someone like yourself make a statement like that, because it's so obvious. They, you know, we had a lot of screaming teenage girls, and just like the Beatles did and the Rolling Stones and Duran Duran and many others, Wham, but they were short-sighted, they were badly advised. They thought, well, we don't want to be a teeny band, so we'll get rid of the pretty boy singer, and then we'll be okay. And of course that didn't happen. But yeah, I was fired in a phone call. I was very hurt at the time. I felt like we were a family. And my diary was full of anything and everything to do with Kajagoogoo for about 2 years, so it came as a complete shock, completely out of the blue. And I think they have gone on record since and said, you know, we did the wrong thing. But of course, you can't turn back the clock, and it's too late.
True, and the good thing for you is that you did pretty well when you went to a solo career, including the big international hit Never Ending Story. That was a Giorgio Moroder song. Those usually turn out quite well when he finds the right talent to perform them. So how did you get chosen to sing that one?
Yes, I was very lucky. I equate that that opportunity that came my way it would be the same as if you're an actor and you get a call from Steven Spielberg. You know, Giorgio Moroder was a legend. He is a legend, and I was very excited to get that call. I had been in Tokyo at the Tokyo Music Festival, and Giorgio Moroder was there. And my manager at the time was an Irish guy called Billy Gaff, who'd managed Rod Stewart through all his heyday, including Maggie May years and things like that. And Billy, my manager, was an absolute entrepreneur. He had the gift of the gab. He was a salesman. He was a personality. He could sell ice to the Eskimos, you know, we would say. And he basically, I think he sat down with Giorgio and told him that Limahl is going to be the next best thing since sliced bread. And, you know, they probably swapped some great rock and roll stories over a few drinks at the bar. And when I got back to the UK, Giorgio's office called my manager, and they invited me to sing the song.
That worked out pretty well.
It's weird because I just had this, like, huge album around the world and this huge single, #1 everywhere. Too shy, but I still felt that when I flew to Munich to record the song, because that's where Giorgio liked to work, he was born in Italy near the German border, and so he worked a lot in Munich because that was close to, and that was a big, that was quite a happening town compared to where he was raised in northern Italy, and he'd recorded all the fantastic Donna Summer records there.
Giorgio Moroder was known for writing a lot of great songs for a lot of great artists, but one of my favorite tracks from him was from the 70s. It was called Son of My Father, and he performed it.
He'd been around for a while, to get that breakthrough. I mean, he was playing around with all the electronic stuff, and that's what really helped him to stand out. But I do think he's a great musician. When I look at the construction of Neverending Story as a song and how it veers off into this, completely different area in the middle. It goes off for like 32 bars, does its own thing, and then it comes all the way back. It really feels like a journey.
Chris Cordani here. Limahl is with me on Revenge of the 80s Radio. Straight ahead, Lean Times, a comeback, and new music.